Okay, everybody. I'm happy that all of you guys are here with us for another sort of episode of Million Circle Around the Mic. It was something that we sort of brainstormed around here to come up with a title for all this Zooming that we're doing with everybody. And Larry and I are excited to have Doc Janssen, spine surgeon out there in Denver, Colorado, and Matt Trulio and Jason Johnson. So welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Hey there.
All right. Million Circle Around the Mic. It was something that we sort of brainstormed around here to come up with a title. And how about that? For one of you guys is your audio is coming through, or maybe that's mine. Doc Janssen. All right, let's try that. All right, the technology at its finest. So, and Jason, you just jumped on, so I don't know if you hit the gallery view. You can see all of us in there. But let's get started. So this is meant to be fun, and we're going through some crazy ass times right now. And Larry and I got a chance to maybe turn the tables on the media people. So now we get to be the interviewers to the interviewees, and we're happy to have Doc Janssen. So let's just go around real quick. Larry, I'll start with you, where you're at and what's going on with you.
Hi, Larry Blau here. I'm in beautiful Key West. Hot Key West, hot and dry. We've not had rain for quite a while, and I think we've been breaking records. It's been in low 90s, 91, which is our July-August weather. It's been hot, but out on the water, it's beautiful. Got windy today, and everything's closed down. I met Rob Undersall today for lunch. He drove down, he flew into Marathon. We met at Harpoon Harry's and grabbed it to go and stood outside and ate it. So that's the way it is here.
That's the way it is everywhere nowadays. So Doc Janssen, how about you?
I'm in Denver. Because of the medical crisis, most elective surgeries and things are canceled right now. I'm doing emergency surgeries and seeing patients about twice a week is all. And then I take off and fly to the Ozarks where I can be in better isolation and stay there for 4 or 5 days. And I come back to Denver again. But this is the first week we're open now, 4 days a week. And we're starting elective surgeries and all the backup things starting next Monday.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. All right. Santa Claus.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get used to that. This is Matt Trulio, Speed on the Water. We're just we're doing what we normally do. We both, Jason and I, both work out of our homes in Northern California. We've probably never been busier, to be honest with you. And aside from the social distancing stuff that we're all going through, and economic hardship we're seeing all around us, our lives have not changed that much. Although Jason has little kids at home. And he can probably elaborate on what that's like more than I can. But yeah, it's I feel really lucky for where we are in Napa, California.
Well, that's great. That's great. Jason?
Yeah, I'm not too far from Matt, about an hour southeast of him. And yeah, I'm hanging out here with my wife's at home and my kids are at home. And I always worked from home. I just never had anybody else here working with me. So it's been a challenge for sure. So if a 6-year-old or a 9-year-old runs through here screaming, I'll try to mute as quick as I can.
Don't worry, that's the new norm now. Do you guys remember that video? It was on CNN or whatever 6 months ago, where the nanny had the kids, and the kids came into that guy that was talking on CNN, and the nanny slid in and grabbed the kids and felt bad, and then they were talking about being a joke. But nowadays, it's totally acceptable. So, all right. So I'm coming to Matt and Jason. So let's talk a little bit about Speed on the Water. So who thought of the name?
Who thought of the name? Oh, I did. I was looking for a URL that had a boat in it, and I couldn't find one that I liked, and somehow Speed on the Water came up and it was available, so I picked it. I think my only regret with that is that it people like to sing Smoke on the Water when they hear it, and it's just a song I can't hear anymore.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Well, how did you two sort of get it together? I mean, how did you guys evolve? Because you obviously had history with other publications. So how did you guys come together?
Well, Jason and I worked together at Powerboat Magazine. I was essentially just a freelance writer, but I was writing a lot and had worked at the magazine before. Jason took over the editor reins of the magazine and he became my boss, basically.
Still his boss.
There you go.
Yeah, he's still my boss. And as you all know, Powerboat Magazine eventually faded out of the picture, like most print magazines. And Jason and I had always wanted to work together. And he came on Speed on the Water, I think 3 years after I started it.
Yeah,
not much.
2012. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and it was super. It was just an amazing stroke of good luck for me and for the website. And I like to think our readers, Jason has some skill sets I don't have.
Right. And when did you start it, Matt?
10 years ago, last year. So do the math.
October of 2009, I think, is when we
There we go.
created for stories.
Yeah.
And he was still working at Powerboat. We were even going to try to put his stuff on the Powerboat website at the time, just to have some fresh content, because Powerboat online wasn't much at all, except for, selling subscriptions. And
Right.
we started putting up our old boat tests to download up on the site. And then all of a sudden it took a little nosedive, and
Right.
it was sold twice and then gone.
Right. Well, I mean, for people that do know and don't know, I mean, you guys definitely have a great audience. You've built a great platform. There's no doubt, all the boating community comes to you guys to sort of see what's going on with high performance boating and racing and the poker runs and stuff like that. Not to say some of those other boat racing classes aren't included, but you definitely have built a really good platform. And while, if I'm correct, it was heavy digital, and then you sort of progressed and moved into print. So I don't know, you can see that. So you guys did a great job with that. I mean, how many issues have you done the year in review with? Like 5?
5.
Yeah.
Started in 2015 as basically like a yearbook for our sport, something that was really cool that sat on a guy like Doc's coffee table at his house at Lake of the Ozarks, hopefully,
Right. Well, let's real quick, let's talk about that. What's that?
I want to ask these guys, what was one of the other top names you guys thought about before you picked Speed on the Water? I mean, we all love it. It's easy to adapt to. Reflect back. What was one of the things you couldn't quite decide if you liked it better?
Oh, you know what? I wanted Powerboat.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think the guys at Boating, and I forget who's Boating. It's not Hachette anymore. But anyway, that's a million years ago. Yeah, they actually have they own the title, they own the URL. They even own the URL. Well, boats.com own the URL. Powerboat.com. That's why Powerboat Mag was always powerboatmag.com. But Powerboat would have been my first choice just because the brand was so recognizable. Wasn't an option though, Doc.
Well, in regards to the magazine, people see probably one of the heaviest magazines that are out there right now. I give you guys a lot of credit because it takes a lot of work, and it's oversized. And you could, if you could go inside a Barnes and Noble nowadays, you could see that the quality of magazines are not there, and they're 1/5 the size of this. So definitely kudos to you guys for doing that. But share with us, and I think I know the answer already, but share with us when you start working on. I know it's a year in review. What's the process of going through all of this, getting all this content in there, and how do you guys go about doing that?
Yeah.
Well, obviously it's very event heavy from the racing and the events. So a lot of that is dictated for us. But what we try to do is stay on top of it with photo shoots early in the year, anything that we can do to kind of grab it or, grab the content and have it. So it's, we're not working on the magazine quite yet, but we've already designated boats that'll be in the next, 2020 year in review. Obviously we'll see what happens with some of the events and stuff that we're covering, but
Right.
we just kind of, probably in, let's say July or August, that's when we really kind of start to be like, okay, let's start grabbing the pictures we need, trying to figure out what events are going to be, get a certain amount of pages, things like that, and really kind of have to put it together. It's like a big puzzle, especially when we bring the advertising into it and trying to keep, competitors. Although our industry, when we say competitors, most everyone gets along really well as far as that, but you still don't want the same brands next to each other as far as advertising goes. try to spread that stuff out. But it's really just looking at the calendar of what we have as far as photography, and then start, piecing it together at that point.
Right.
You know,
Well, you make it sound sort of easy. I mean, I publish magazines, and I know what it's like, and I know it's a lot of heavy lifting and having all those details.
If we didn't cover the sport all year long, it would be impossible to do. But because we've written stories on all these different events or new products that came out, we can sit there and go back and choose we do a best of section that's like 6 pages in the magazine. So we can look at that. We can go back and look at our metrics of traffic and be like, okay, this story was super popular. We got to figure out a way to work that into our best of.
Right.
So yeah, it's just, but it's experience of doing a magazine for so many years. And then the content that we collect all year long makes doing the magazine, I say easy. It's not easy, but if we didn't cover the sport, we couldn't do a year review like that. So.
Right. Well, for those that I see there's a lot of people online, so I appreciate that. So just so everybody knows, we're gonna make this a little bit educational as well. I mean, I want to actually deliver some value to the people that are listening about some different topics. So, all right, let's do a quiz then between Janssen and you two. What do you think Doc Janssen's, or once Doc Janssen remembers, what might been one of his first interviews or stories online with you?
With us? Oh my gosh.
Come on, Doc.
I go so far back with Josh.
It's a shootout.
I don't know how to say it.
Way back in the shootout when my son was racing with me, and he was probably, I lied about his age so he could get in the boat. The old shooter's 21.
Old shooter's 21. So that would have been what, 12 years ago, something like that. Almost.
It had to be longer than that.
I know I met Doc at Shooters, and it was like, oh, this guy from Colorado's out here. I didn't even know he was actually so locally based to Lake of the Ozarks, at that point. But we used his house. I think you might have been there with us, Roderick, maybe not, but we used Doc's house for the cover of Powerboat.
Right.
In Dave Scott's fountain, pulling up to Doc's party at the lake.
It was Dave Scott driving my fountain, just to be clear.
Oh, was your fountain? Okay.
It was that 47 fountain, and he pulled into the dock when we used to have those dinners called the Taste of Torque. And we actually had sporting events too. And we actually collectively threw Roderick into the fence trying to play hockey. He never did well, but we had a great time.
When it's 5 against 1, I wonder why. So, all right, let's go to you, Doc. Let's talk a little bit about your racing career, because you've had a lot of different boats over the years, and you've done a lot of different kinds of racing when it comes to boats. So take us back a little ways. I mean, you're a spine surgeon by heart. That's what you do. That's your practice. But obviously you have a little adrenaline and extreme desires inside of you.
Yeah, it started at Lake of the Ozarks because that's where I had a home base, even though I practice and live in Denver. And I think it started because I got to know Mr. Reggie Fountain, and I treated him as a patient. And then I wanted to, I had a couple different boats. We ran them into the shootout every year. And then I wanted this crazy idea to take one of our 42 poker run boats, cut it in half.
I mean, you're a spine surgeon by heart. That's what you do. That's your practice. But obviously,
Are we okay now?
I think so. I'm not sure who somebody was tapping in. Maybe that was me. All right, we're good now.
Okay. Anyway, so I took a boat after the shootout and we turned it into a race boat, and I partnered with Brian Forehand, and our goal was to go to Key West and to try to win a world championship. And we did. And after that, I came with the Stampede boat, and then we decided to go into a boat that had more boats in it from a class instead of the unlimited V bottoms, which was kind of drying up. And I partnered with Mike Fiore, and we built the carbon fiber Snowy Mountain Brewery boat. And then we went back to Fountain. And before that, we had gone to Fountain and built the Watch Your Back boat. And so I really enjoyed it over 4 different boats over 6 to 7 years, and then all the poker runs in between. And I just hit a point a couple of years ago saying, this isn't really what I want to do, but I want to stay involved. And if I can take my talents and experience in both scuba diving, rescue, medicine, and boating and help on a medical rescue team, I will be happy. Before that, we went to Fountain and built the Watch Your Back boat.
Right.
And so,
man, how does that keep happening? I'll see if I can get that turned out if it's me or not.
Me, Roderick.
Oh, it is? Well, they quit doing it.
I was on the Facebook page trying to comment, and I'm trying to mute that at the same time.
Anyway,
That's
so
okay.
I've been very happy, and it's exciting to meet so many people from around the world in boating. both boat racing, poker runs, the offshore teams, the medical safety teams that you have. And it's something I look forward to at the beginning of every year.
Well, Larry, I think that's what, you sort of talked to Doc about coming on, with Race World, and sort of how all that gelled together.
Oh yeah, that having Doc on board is great for the sport. He's knows most everyone that's out there racing, and having him come on board with a new organization. We when right at the inception, which was like 2017. Right away gives us credibility that, hey, we're on to safety and all that. So it means a lot. And then like after Key West this year, right away, I got a written up report on every accident, everything that happened right there and sitting in the file. So, you don't get better than that.
Yeah, definitely very professional and appreciated, because I don't think it was even but Tuesday or Wednesday you'd already said that you'd already talked to 10 people, probably me as well, because I lost my voice I think on the first day. So definitely everybody appreciates that. Let's stay with you, Doc. In regards to knowing so many people in the boating community from the lake and from the races that you attend, then that sort of carries over to your spine practice. You've had a lot of people travel internationally and nationally to get to you to seek help, I assume.
That's correct. I mean, in recreational boating and poker runs and in racing, people, your spine takes a huge amount of force and damage to it. And also, it's a tight knit community, because in boating, as everyone knows, and as well as poker run and racing, people trust a very small circle of people. And so I think it's been built on that also. I have 2 rooms in my office that only have boating racing pictures on both walls all the way around, and certain patients want to only be in that room. Actually, not too long ago, I had a boat builder that flew in from Michigan to see me for his back. He refused to sit in this one room because it only had MTIs, and he would only sit in a room that didn't have competitive pictures in it. But it's a great group of people that I've taken care of, and I always enjoy seeing them, taking care of them and or their family.
I want to break in here. Like I was with Rob Undersall today having lunch, like I said, and he was telling me how Doc fixed his neck, and that if Doc hadn't fixed his neck, he doesn't know what he would be doing right now.
Yeah, we've had an explosion of new technologies in spine that I think have helped a lot of boat racers compared to what we've done before, where when patients have a disc that's smashing into their spinal cord or their nerve, and instead of taking that out and putting bone in and fusing it together, which you lose motion forever, in a patient like Rob, we were able to put 2 mechanical disc replacements in and actually completely restore all of his motion. And within 6 weeks, I pretty much let him do anything he wants to do.
That's amazing.
What can you educate us, Doc, a little bit on maybe the most common type of spine issues that probably sets a majority of the population? So, if some of us are getting old, as we can see, but what's the common out there, and what should people do for spine problems, lower back problems?
I think unfortunately, the discs in your body, there's a shock absorption or a disc that I tell patients in layman's terms look like a sea scallop. In the neck, they're about the diameter of a dime. And in the low back, they're the diameter of a $50. And the discs have almost zero blood supply in a human after age 20. Some people get 80 years of life out of them, or 80,000 miles, and sometimes they go bad at 40. And the key is when they do, in the low back, patients can work on their core strength and therapy and a variety of things, and they can get better. But many times in the neck, because there isn't a lot of muscles to work on, patients get numbness in their arms. They start dropping things. They can't handle the steering wheel. They can't type. Those things, I always educate people, get an MRI early, because as soon as we know exactly what the issue is, anyone can give you a lot better advice what to do.
Right. No, that's great. That's great. And because we definitely hear so many people unrelated to boating, so many people have lower back pain and problems, and it seems as though everybody says they continue to persist and they really don't do anything. So that seems to be.
Well, how do you think they dealt with this 150 years ago, Roderick?
How do I think they probably got off the horse or got off the wagon, or I don't know, 150 years ago, they probably didn't do too much.
Well, average life expectancy was probably 45 or 50 then.
Right.
So you got to think about that. You only get so many miles out of those tissues. But I do think you're absolutely right. The earlier you make a better diagnosis, the better it is.
Right.
People go and see my friends that are chiropractors and therapists and take this medicine and try acupuncture and massage, but you don't really know exactly what the patient has. And today, MRIs have zero radiation. They are very simple to get. I mean, in my office, we have 6 of them within a couple miles, and you can make an exactly diagnosis so you can make good decisions in your life. What's going on?
Right. Let me stay with you then about telemed.
Mhm.
I mean, how do you think that's changing the way we interact now?
Oh, I think without this current crisis we had, it was a zero component of our practice. But now it's opened up, and we spend our entire staff, our physician's assistants and our pain management doctors and our orthopedic surgeons, they're spending 2 days a week on telemedicine so that because we've isolated the patients, we don't want them to come to our office. The elderly patients that may not be the healthiest, we don't really want them out and about, but this will probably continue to expand. It's had some limitations in the past because there's been some challenges that insurances won't reimburse physicians. It's also a challenge to do this across state lines, unfortunately, right now. I carry a license in many states, but across state lines, because you are in theory practicing medicine and giving advice outside the state you're licensed at. But maybe through all this crisis, some of those things will change.
Right. I appreciate that. And let me ask one more question. What's your opinion on the COVID-19? How do you, have you seen anybody? Have you talked to a lot of people about it? You surely, I've seen a lot of texts from you. I mean, what's your opinion on where we stand with this and its complications and problems?
The tough thing is we have 2 esteemed journalists on the same show here with me right now. But I do think that this is real. It is a new novel virus, which means it's new. It's an RNA virus, which is unique. It's not a DNA structure. So we haven't built ever a vaccine to anything that's an RNA virus to date yet in the world. So it'll be a challenge. But I think it has created a huge amount of fear in people because they watch 24-hour news and the news channels love it. And when you flip from channel to channel, that's all you hear about. But in the big picture, it's a health crisis that we have to deal with. But unfortunately, the amount of fear that it's created and lack of people wanting to spend time with other people or do anything and are just scared, creating much more than just social distancing. Social fear of distancing, I think, is unfortunately very media driven, which is unfortunate.
Right. Thanks, Doc. All right, let's lighten it up a little bit. Matt, so tell me about, I'm going to selfishly say Key West, just because I witness you guys there probably the most because there's 3 races. So give me a rundown on what it's like for you as a journalist and someone that I witness that's really not even watching the race, but their head's in front of a laptop just typing away. And so what kind of timeline do you have, or what are you trying to accomplish when you're down there? Because on the outside, people see a story come out, and then they see another story come out. I mean, I guess it must be super easy, which I know.
It's just the easiest thing in the world. So we get there, we party, and then that's really what happens the rest of the week. You do see us looking down and working right behind you. We've done that several years, Roderick, right behind your broadcast. We try to mix it up. We'll report from different places. The bottom line is we need to have the stream. That helps a lot. And we need to be able to see the course, because even though we're looking down, we're looking up. And What I'm doing while a race is going on is taking notes throughout the race, what I'm seeing, what I'm observing, what I think I saw happen. Sometimes what you think you saw happen isn't what happens. So that's where the interviews come in. That's why we will, call the winners in each class and discuss it with them, maybe talk to the runners up as well, and find out if what we observed was what actually happened, because that's always the challenge in journalism. Just because you think you saw it, we can all look at a fire and see 5 different things. We have to observe and then fact check. And to Doc's point earlier, I couldn't agree with you more. The media is absolutely blowing it with this story. It's sad. Some of it's really embarrassing. There's some good work being done out there. I'd throw a shout out at the Wall Street Journal if I could. But by and large, yeah, it's really a disaster. But going back to Key West, Jason and I sort of split things. We'll write about different aspects. We'll gather different classes of each race. If I'm if another race has started and I still have to do the interviews for the race before, Jason might be doing that, or I might be doing it for him. That's why we wait till the end of the day to compile one story for each day's racing rather than doing it race by race, because if you're doing that, you're really going to end up incomplete. You don't have enough, unless you're just reporting results, and reporting results is really not really reporting. You could read those on the Race World Offshore site in a few seconds. It's not hard to find out. You got to find out the story of the race.
Right.
So, long story short, we have one real night off, and even that's not a night off. That's the party that we throw every year in Key West, and we're working the whole time. So if you don't see us, it's not because we don't like you. It's just because we're working.
I'm sure. Well, that's Jason, have you seen a situation where sort of on what Matt was talking about, let's just say over the years, that you feel that you got something wrong and you wanted to change it, or some of it, I mean, was there anything you've made a mistake and you're like, I should have done X, Y, Z, or I wish that wouldn't have happened, or, because it's got to happen.
I probably needed a little bit more time to think of this question, but mistakes happen a lot, as far as even just, putting a propeller the wrong size in a story on a new MTI or DCB or whatever. And that stuff's super easy to fix being online. Trying to think in the racing sense of stuff, you got to be very careful sometimes of what saying that somebody broke or something happened in a boat, because you don't know exactly what might have broke or what the situation is, or why a team might have stopped if somebody was, suffered an injury out there or something like that you don't really know. So you can't assume anything. That's why we try to talk to as many people as we can to put that in there. I'm pretty sure we've gotten some results wrong as far as not being the official results.
Sure.
But sometimes that's just the way it is. And that's why usually at most the end of our stories, it says, check the website for official results tomorrow or whenever, because those are always pending based on the testing that when they get back to the docks with weight or whatever else, or maybe somebody missed a turn that you guys can go back and review later. So
right.
I can't think of anything specific off the top of my head.
That's good enough then.
Right?
How about that? If you can go back in your own archives.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, one of the things we can do, it's very different than print. If we make an error, we can fix it quickly, and we do. Even if I hear like a week later that wasn't my name spelling, I'm gonna go back into that article, or we didn't get third, we got second. I'm gonna go back into that article and change it. And I typically would post a comment on, not only on the story, but this article has been edited, but I would post a comment in our social media, hey, just for clarification, because you're going to make mistakes. With any luck, they're not mistakes that are really harmful, but you're going to make mistakes. The measure of your professionalism is how you go back, how you deal with those mistakes. If you ignore them, you're making a statement about how much you care about what you do. And so we definitely, I can't think of any real humdingers I've made in a while. I wish I had known about this question, because I could have found some really good ones, Roderick, but
let's just keep it that way, right? So, hey, we got
for sure.
A few under the carpet, that's not really a big deal.
We definitely understand Speed on the Water has been online for 10 years. Every single story you can go back and search.
Yeah.
So if you don't fix that stuff, then your archives are wrong, or incorrect.
Exactly.
Right.
We have a lot of pride in our site of the archives that you can go back and read about the 2015 Key West World Championships,
right,
or last year's, whatever. So all of it's right there. It doesn't go away.
I wonder how many cumulative posts to this point.
We're like 6,800 articles.
Great. That's great.
Right, Matt?
Yeah. That's got to be at least that. Well, let me. All right, Doc. Let's talk about racing mistakes for you. And no, there's no heads up, and I didn't give you heads up on that. During a race, over the years, do you missed the setup? Something happened on the course. I mean, is anything really stand out that just you thought you were dialed in, and it just turned south, and you didn't work out for you?
Well, the obvious things are whether you counted the right number of laps and then that time you run out of gas. Okay. That's just gross. And everybody turns to you and says, how in the heck could you ever run out of gas? Because a lot of times in boat racing, as you know, you only put the exact amount of gallons because you only want the exact amount of weight that you have in the boat. And then you miscalculate it because there's a turtle on the course, or you weren't for sure whether the pace lap was counted or not counted, and you get in discussions with you and your team. That's the worst. And the rest of it is making a judgment. I mean, you know, we make mistakes if the weather changes and the weather picks up and we thought it was smoother than it is, and you put the boat in too early. But the biggest one for us is always, are you going to finish? Because you can't win if you can't finish. And I think that's the biggest mistake.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing for boat racing. Everybody talks to that, you know, as well as you know, lasting to the end, even if you have enough gas, you know. So, all right, I said early on I wanted to, you know, bring value in this interview, and I think you guys are three great people, and Larry as well, to bring some insight. What I want to talk about a little bit from an education standpoint is, you know, Doc, you do a lot of public speaking. You know, or not necessarily public speaking, but speaking, you know, at symposiums and things like that, because I know you're traveling all the time, and obviously very comfortable, you know, for you to talk about the topic that you know. So let's talk about, you know, what recommendations you would give to, let's just say, race teams that are being interviewed by the media, or how they talk to people, or some of the things that can help them feel comfortable, because there's, you know, a lot of people that are really uncomfortable talking on camera or talking in front of people. So would you have advice that you could give to people in sports on how they sort of communicate their message, or how they sort of get out of the gate trying to, you know, make a name for themselves?
Well, I do. I think, you know, it is a learned trait. And I think first, anytime you get asked a question, is to stop and reflect for a few seconds to try to give what you think is the most honest, ethical answer for that. I believe when you teach people or you transfer knowledge, is you want to do three things. You want to tell them what you're going to tell them, and you tell them, and then you can find a way to summarize it, tell them what you just told them. And I think that's the key for me to try to communicate with people and help them. But there are some people that just freeze and freeze. And I've had a guy I raced with, and the minute you put a microphone, he'll be talk. You put a microphone in his mouth, he walks out. And that just takes practice. But I think in racing, since what we really need in racing is obviously more sponsors, and to get more sponsors, then you have to make sure that these customers, which are the racers and the teams and everybody, is branding themselves the right way. They all look professional, and they can communicate that message across the board, or it's not going to help grow the sport.
Right. All right, let's go down to you guys. And Larry, you can chime in here, but for Matt and you, Jason, either one of you first, that, you know, how, what would you like to extract more out of people, or how could you help people when they don't understand how to give answers to your questions, or they just give you sort of one-word answers, or they're really, you know, what advice can you give to people to help them communicate what, you know, answer your question, but communicate more?
Well, one thing as a reporter, you try not to answer questions or ask questions that can be answered in one word.
Right.
That's always a good place to start. With people who are media shy, and most people are, you have to gain a level of trust with them. And people are right or wrong, and sometimes quite rightfully, are pretty suspicious of reporters and the media. So if you ask direct questions and you try to take as much of whatever personal agenda you have out of that question, you know, just ask the question. You have to follow up a lot of times to get not the answer you want, but to get an answer you can actually use. The only advice I would offer to racers now is, don't tell me that seat time made the difference. I've heard that a couple thousand times in the last 2 years. But it actually does. But what happens is people get nervous and they rely on cliches or whatever it is, expressions that seem like a great explanation. But, you know, the more you can relax and just try to trust the person asking the questions, the better off you'll be. And it's on us not to twist your quotes, not to put anything on the record that you said is off the record. That's really important. It takes a career to build trust, and it takes about a second to lose it, and it doesn't come back.
Larry, you sort of said that. I mean, I think you had.
I think that, yeah, with Matt, I've talked to Matt quite a bit because I feel like I walk around with a target on my back, and I'll talk to Matt and I say, no, this is off the record. I think I've said it to Matt more than anybody in my life.
To me, that's a big compliment. And, I mean, there is a notion out there that journalists, reporters just are absolutely irresponsible and blurt and do that sort of thing. And it happens. It happens way more than it should. It's embarrassing how much it happens. But yeah, I definitely, we might not always agree. You might not like something I write, but and Jason will answer this as well. I definitely want you to trust that I am not trying to hurt you,
Right. Well, Jason, let me ask you this. Go ahead, Doc.
I have a quick question for both of Jason and Matt. When you watch professional football or basketball, when they ever interview people, those professionals are coached. They never really put the other team down. No matter how bad they did, they try to make themselves market themselves and say, we did great. We did the best that we could, but it was lucky. The other team was fantastic. You don't necessarily see that probably so much in boat racing because there's so much competition that many times people make comments that are more degrading to their competition than it is on how well they did as a group. Do you notice that at all?
Jay?
From time to time, I've actually, most of the years I've covered the sport, I've tended to think that the racers are a nice kind of tight community and don't want to bash each other. But that doesn't mean they don't say it in their own roundabout way, like you might have pointed out, or not even doing it, actually thinking that they're doing something like that.
Right.
Blanking on the right word for that, but putting it out there where you may just be saying something. I just think that these guys that you're talking about, though, they're in the NFL or NBA or whatever, they've been coached all the way through, the prep level in college and things like that. You're talking about a guy who got into boat racing because they're big. They love boats and they want that competitiveness. And so they might not even think that they're saying something that could be insulting to somebody else. We try to, obviously we're in this to, cover this sport, cover this industry, make it positive for everybody. That doesn't mean we don't report negative stuff, but we're not out here for an agenda or trying to pit people against each other. So a lot of times if somebody says something like that, we just leave it alone. And there are some guys, that I'm not going to name any names, but they've been doing this a long time. They don't like each other. They may get along at the drivers' meetings or things like that, but no, you get them one-on-one and they're just talking about that guy cheats and this guy does this. And I'm sure you've heard it a lot, Doc. And that's not our job, is to figure all that stuff out. That's where the rules come in place and things like that. So we're not going to try to create conflict. That's for sure.
Gotta have a little parody out there somewhere. So sidebar joke. So all right, Jason.
Because it's a really good comment. We hear derisive things a lot of the time. They almost never make it to print.
Right.
Yeah,
Jason, let me ask you another question, Jason. How does an individual or a race team or somebody successfully get to you and get in the news? And sometimes, there's got to be a quality story. There's got to be a quality reason. So how can you teach somebody, say, hey, these are your steps, or these are some things you need to do to not only get into my magazine, or online, but, somewhere else?
Just be, as open as you can. We're on social media, easy to find that way, email, things like that. We get pitched stories a lot. And if a race team is going to reach out to us and they have a new sponsor this year, and that's not really going to, we know it's not going to drive hundreds or thousands of views or whatever, it's still, I can respect that team for saying, hey, the Stephen Kildall is a great example with Boat Floater, Scott Free Racing, stuff like that. They're very good. Every year consistently is sending something about their new sponsors. And, is it big news? Are they changing drivers or throttlemans? No. But they reach out, they put it out there, and you don't have to. It doesn't have to be professionally written, a big press release, something like that. Just a hey, quick email. I think the guys, some of the, I don't remember what class it was that reached out to you, Matt. Thought it was a class 4 or class 5 team. Saying, hey, how come we didn't get the coverage? Matt's like, okay, how come you haven't told me anything about your team? And then all of a sudden, it's like they get a story up on Speed on the Water, a few days later or whatever it is, just after a little research. Just reaching out, letting us know. We can appreciate that these teams need the support. They need the coverage to, bring about sponsors, things like that. So we're pretty open to it. Just reach out and throw out the idea.
Right. All right, Doc, coming to you. Let's talk a little bit about branding and marketing and trying to have a good presence, when you're, when you're hauling your boat from city to city, or when you get to a race site and how it looks. And, I know you don't exactly have all the answers for how someone finds a sponsor, but maybe it's a little bit more like on how to keep a sponsor. So, what can you recommend to teams that are just coming along, or teams that existed for a while to really sort of uphold the quality of their sponsorship?
I think probably the first and most important thing is reputation and branding. Right now, if you just look at the other, both Matt and Jason on here on Outside Boating, they built an incredible brand and a reputation that whatever they publish, people trust. And that name means a lot. That's why the two of them have controlled it. When you look at the same thing in the boat racing teams, when they wear their jersey and they're out, hopefully they have a level of commitment that this is the image that they want to portray to everybody, whether on the streets of Key West or the fans that come through or the crane operators, because all of those images, we all know it takes so long to build it, and it doesn't take long to knock it down. And the problem in boat racing is most of the people that help on these teams are all volunteers. And if you pick the wrong volunteer that doesn't buy into that culture and understand how important it is, but they come to one race, and that one race, they are intoxicated and they get in a fight with somebody, it's damaging for your team for a long time. And those are the things, I think, just the pearls that you have to really be aware of who you surround yourself with and on your team, and have a clear-cut explanation of what the expectations are, I think is probably the first step, and I think really important.
Yeah, thanks, Doc. Larry, coming to you. Like I said, we just have postponed a Dunkirk call that just came across the email, I think today or yesterday. And so give me your comments on sort of what your hopes are for this year.
Well, it's definitely going to be a messed up year. We all know that. We're really looking forward to doing a race in Dunkirk in the middle of July. I don't know. We had a meeting scheduled for this Thursday, and I got a call from Dunkirk that they're putting it off for 30 days till they get the next report from the state. The city of Dunkirk is ready to go. They want to put on the race. The funding is there. Everything is ready to go. It's just a matter of that getting released from the state. And there again, New York City is a lot different than Buffalo, New York. So it's, that state is going to have differences in releasing times, I would think, than other states. Then from there, we have Clearwater. Clearwater's all ready to go. That's towards the end of September. If we're not opening and running by the end of September, we're all going to have problems. So, hopefully that'll go fine. Key West, naturally, I'm already working on Key West. Key West is really needed for the Key West economy. The Key West economy is, there's nothing going on here right now. And right before us is Fantasy Fest. And then before that is the boat races. So, we're just going to have to hope that everything, by November is okay. And that by November, everybody still has some kind of bank account. What I'm going to do is, as we're all aware, the hotels, motels in Key West have always been, they're probably the highest price of any of the race sites that we go to. My first order of business when I'm able to meet with everybody. The Hotel Motel Association is saying, hey, you know, we want to bring the circus to town. We want to put on a great show. You guys are going to have to pony up and help out. We want a break in rooms or whatever you can give us for rooms for teams. They were good last year. As everybody knows, I got no TDC funding, tourist development money last year. So pretty much everything was out of my pocket. This year we have some TDC funding, which means we have funding to put on the race. But what I want is to have the hotels, we got rooms for last year for our staff, but I want them, hey, give us one room for a week for a team, and give us a break on the other rooms that we need. Get a start. You know, now's the time that they need us. You know, it's always been like, my feeling when I go to the meetings is, oh, we're going to fill the rooms up anyway. You know, it doesn't matter. I think the shoe's on the other foot now, where that it's going to take me to get in front of these people and say, hey, we want to bring the show to town, but we need help.
Yeah, I think people will definitely appreciate that, because it definitely gets gouged, you know, at that time of year, and it's very, very, very expensive. So I know the other day when you told me that you were really concerned, just from the standpoint that, you know, who knows who's going to jump on a cruise ship as quickly as they can and have a cruise ship come into Key West. I mean, that industry, I think, is really going to struggle. And you know, if you had
Key West has, you know, we have 3-4 cruise ships a day.
Right.
You know? So that's a lot of funding to the city that the city isn't getting. It's a lot of T-shirts that aren't being sold. It's a lot of drinks that aren't being sold. So that industry, you know, even though there's people in this town that say, hey, look, we don't want cruise ships. We got them gone now, let's leave them gone. The problem is you don't want to go back to the way it was in the 70s and 80s in here in Key West, when
Right.
it was nothing.
Right.
Well,
hopefully, sorry, go ahead, Larry.
We just need to do it responsibly. We need to see where we're at,
Right.
and just make this thing work for everybody.
Right. Well, yeah.
Larry, this is the first time that I know that Key West is going to be actually the second full week of November. Will that have any impact at all? I think there's a huge enthusiasm for that, but I'm just curious how that all fell in the calendar between that and the other activities.
How that fell in is the same as in, I'm just doing right now the TDC funding, the application for 2021. And what it does, you have to go to the city did a cruise ship schedule for the last 20 years, for the next 20 years. So that, well, I don't think it's 20, I think it's about 15 years. And I had to go to the cruise ship schedule because you cannot put a race on Key West with a cruise ship in the harbor. And they had blocked out these dates on forward. So when I went to the cruise ship schedule last year for this year's funding, there were no cruise ships on Wednesday, Friday, or Sunday. So that had to be the dates. If there was a cruise ship on those dates, so the city did this because it's part of the agreement with the Outer Mole and all that, and the city, that we put on a race once a year in Key West. It's in the charter for the land that was given to us by the Navy and all that. We are allowed to do one race per year, and it's 3 races, and it's Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And they sat down with a schedule and a calendar and did it for like 15 years. So that's how that date came up. It wasn't that I didn't want to do it the next weekend after Fantasy Fest. But in reality, I think it's better because Fantasy Fest ends up, and then we were starting right into boat races. Now we got that week in between, and it's going to be the same in 2021 also. So it was all because of calendars and cruise ships.
Right, and it's the only thing on the cruise ship schedule they actually block out. So it's pretty impressive, actually. So, all right, we're bumping up on almost an hour. I know you guys had stuff to do. I know you did, Doc, and I appreciate you guys coming on. You know, Matt and Jason, we weren't going to turn the table so hard to make it a hard-hitting, you know, interview in reverse. But definitely appreciate, the support you give, all racing organizations and race teams out there. I mean, when we started doing this, we were definitely not making this political. We just wanted everybody to see, through Zoom, because Zoom has become a little bit more normal now for everybody. And we wanted people to just to sort of see what everybody was doing. And, for all those that are listening, anyone's welcome on the show. And, we're just trying to, just sort of see what people are up to. We know it's going to be super tough. We hope whatever race site gets to be the first race site to go, we hope boats show up and people get a chance to get out there and start racing. And so, that's what all this was about. And so, and then, sharing some information and, how people can, get online with you guys, and some good insight from Doc. So do you guys have any comments or closing thoughts you'd like to share?
I just have one. I would say that in my experience in the last, decade or more, if Speed on the Water wasn't there and you guys weren't as dedicated to do this, poker runs, racing, and everything would be so much more fragmented than it is. It's really the branding that you guys have and the effort you put in pulls everybody together to try to find out what's going on. Poker runs, races, and everything. You just do a fantastic job.
Thank you. That's really, really kind. And I have to thank Jason. He works so hard and he fills in the gaps I have in my own skill sets, and just a really great working partner and a great friend. And I also want to say thank you to Larry. Last year, Larry got Green Street closed for us, and we were able to bring, we have a party every year that benefits Samuel's House, which is a Key West-based charity for, that takes in intact homeless families and women. And we raise money for them, and it's a great party. It's fun. It's Thursday night. We're going to do it again this year. Larry got Green Street closed for us, which enabled us to bring a brand new, the very first one, MTI 390X sport catamaran down there. Typically that party was an overcrowded 400 to 500 people in the Sandbar Sports Grill. We had a couple thousand people. We raised, Jason, I think we raised over $40,000.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And I credit a lot of that, not just to Jason and Yvonne Alleman and Greg Harris, who work on that event with us, but Larry, because we didn't even have it down. And I think we talked about it a week before, and Larry got the street closed, so we really appreciate that. And we enjoyed it. We think Key West is going to be absolutely incredible this year. We're ready. I can't wait to get you guys open, though. I know
we're definitely ready as well. So how about you guys pitch Speed on the Water? So, get some new advertisers in there and throw your own pitch out. You deserve the opportunity to get some valued advertisers in there.
I don't know if we got any really good pitches. We're not very good sales people, that's for sure. That's one of our weak points, no doubt. But I'd just like to say, obviously, thank you to Roderick and Larry for doing this. I've watched them. They're very informative. They're cool. I'd like to thank the advertisers that we do have and have supported us over all the years. And, if anyone does want to advertise, we're easy to find, speedonthewater.com. Anyone wants to keep following what we're doing, the Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, very easy to do. We got a new store. I'm wearing one of our new sport catamaran shirts. We've got a logo that looks kind of like, some of the different racing or sports type stuff you've seen over the years, NBA, MLB,
Yep.
logos. We got a CAD, a center console, and a V-bottom one. You can go buy them online. So do a little pitch for that.
Yep.
But I do have a question for you guys, Roderick and Larry. What have you learned from doing now 4 of these? They're kind of fun, right?
They are fun. It's a little eye-opening that when you really get someone to open up about either racing or being in the boat. First couple ones were about the milling circle, and what's it like getting out there, and what's it like getting, a whole wall of water in front of you, and you can't see the pace boat, you can't see the yellow flag, you can't see the green flag, you have no idea what the hell's going on, and people's different opinions from that. So that's been pretty interesting. How Ryan talked about, being in the milling circle, and it's a calming environment for him. And you heard Tyler's story. Tyler's, had a little history of, building up the nerves and You know, once he says once the, you know, throttles are hitting, he's rolling, then everything calms down. But I think from all this, from my perspective, you know, it shows a little humanity, you know, out of everybody. All right, there's a good first walk-in. All right, let's get some camera time. All right. Hey there.
You know, one more thing, Jason, we didn't tell. We are, we did a story on this, but we kind of kept it under the radar. We're relaunching the site next month. So
Great.
Look and feel. It's way more, much more visual than it is currently. We get great visual. Yeah.
Good.
So
congrats for you guys. Good job.
Very long overdue. It's taken forever to get it done, but we're going to launch next month, which is exciting for us.
Yeah, congratulations. All right, Doc, you want to do any pitching?
I'd just say if anybody needs anything from their spine standpoint, I'm honored to see it. I get discs and CDs sent for me from MRIs from people that I know through boating from all over the country, and we try to get back to them in a couple of days.
Oh, fantastic. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Larry,
Thanks.
last wrap-up comment. You good?
I just want to say thank you to everybody. After doing this as the fourth one, at least I'll be able to get on and see it because I've used my son-in-law's laptop here. So Captain JP on there. It's my son-in-law, and I haven't screwed around. I was able to get on first time, so I'm learning. I'm learning.
Great job, Larry.
Awesome.
Great job.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Doc. Thanks, you
Thank you.
guys. All right, you guys be safe. All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
We'll see you.